So I guess I'll start out and just say this is Growing Up Aspen, Adventures of the Unsupervised with Chris Pomeroy. And today we've got Dean Jackson. So there's three of us. And we're with Brad Moore, the guy who put on so many plays around Aspen that it's a thrill to get him on this group chat. So did they have outdoor ed when you were in seventh grade?
Yeah, seventh
grade. How important do you think that is? Having gone through it and be at the age that you are now.
Huge. Yeah, seventh grade, things were a little different than they are now. Seventh grade, we did a hut trip. Mm-hmm. And then eighth grade, of course, was, up over either Buckskin or East Maroon Pass and down into,
Marble.
Geneva Lake and down into Marble and that whole thing. Yeah. I was pretty small when I was in middle school, and Bernie Posback was my troop leader, and Bob Simons was sort of the troop leader of the group next to us. So we were kind of traveling together, and evidently the first night on the road, I was sharing a tent with my friend Steve Langley, and the first night, evidently, I sat straight up in my sleep in the tent, sat straight up and said, "Mr. Simons, don't walk so fast." But yeah, I mean, I remember doing, and luckily I had a little bit of climbing experience, so suddenly I became, sort of for the first time within that group, I became a little bit of an expert on doing some rappelling and things like that. So, but just the going through that together and trying to get people up over the wall and getting up and doing the jog and dip. Oh my God. But that was hugely important.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that they keep talking about taking it away, because people who come up there have no idea what that is. And it's like just a little bit of an understanding, and there's no way you'd want to take that away. I mean.
Yeah. No, it's more than anything, it's that, in my mind, which made Aspen the unique and incredible opportunity for growth and human understanding, self-awareness.
Yeah.
It's that sort of an education. I mean, you can do whatever you want toward test scores and so on and so forth, but it's learning how to be your truest and most authentic self that made Aspen such a unique place to grow up.
Yeah, it's interesting because every class had their Lou Dawson, their Mike and Steve Marolt, Pierre Willie or Raoul Willie, there was always those folks, and it's funny because they're in the headlines of all the climbers and stuff, but we just knew them as schoolmates,
Yeah, no, exactly. And, and the fact that I have students who then went on to become Olympians or game winners.
Yep.
And then would come back to me and say, after this, I really want to get involved with theater again, or in the case of, like Gretchen Bleiler came up to me at one point, and she had injured herself right before the X Games, and she said, "So I can't participate in the X Games, but I am now going to be a commentator for ESPN." She said, "I'm so glad that I took theater classes from you." I know how to. It's like, "Oh, really? Okay, yeah." So I mean, it's just it's that sort of thing. Or Noah Hoffman, who just, I mean, yeah, an Olympian, but he also then he starting in seventh grade. He became fascinated in the theater, and he would come over on lunch hours just to hang out in the theater. And he took classes from me throughout, whether we made up classes that he could do as sort of an independent study or whatever. And the theater gave him a sense of determination, and he understood how to set goals and how to work with deadlines and how to work as a team and how to dream big. And he said that a lot of that was what really helped him further his career. And I think, wow, yeah, okay, awesome.
And it makes me wish I was a little bit more involved with the whole process of it. I just did it because I felt like I had to do a play. I did one before when I was a kid, and it went off pretty well. So I thought, okay, I got to do one. So I did South Pacific, but I wish I would have gotten more involved with all the different areas, because as I run my studio, you really pull from so many different areas, and when you do the stage, when you're doing the sets, when you're doing the actors and going back and forth and reading lines, and when you're doing all these different things, it pulls from a lot of that. One thing I was going to ask real quick was, what do you think in the world of influencers, how does that affect your stage and your presence and all that stuff? Do you think that that's affecting kids these days in that sense, with influence? In other words, you were talking about being able to speak, and Andy Mill got a job afterwards, after his Olympics, going, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then all of a sudden got into commentating, like you said, which gave him a step, which now is his life. Do you feel like that as we move into more of an influencer world, that stage and acting and all that kind of stuff becomes more of an important presence to understand who you are?
I think it absolutely should. I don't know that it always does, and I think that's part of what we're missing. And part of that is because now it's so easy to feel somehow connected, or we all as kids had certain dream idol people that we wanted to meet or wanted to be, or whatever. And now with social media and everything else, we're missing a certain natural separation, and yet it's a false connection, I think, in many ways. And so to be an influencer, I think absolutely that would help. Unfortunately, I don't know that that's always the case. Right. If that makes any sense at all.
I have to agree with you on just listening to that. Andy and I have had numerous discussions about the death of story, and how this new, as you say, influencer thing takes off. There's in trying to get your 15 seconds of fame, you don't necessarily have to have talent, although it helps. But it's really weird what these kids are into. At least it's alien to me, because I see it in my kids and what they watch. And from when my kid was 2 and all he wanted to watch was people unwrapping Pokemon card sets, to now where it's just these people just scream into a microphone for 15 minutes, and then that's the episode.
Chris, you were a punk musician, so you know a lot about screaming into a microphone.
Well, I wasn't the vocalist, but
no, that was Marcus. You were the loud guitarist.
Thanks for listening. The authors of Growing Up Aspen would like to thank you, and would like to also thank the Aspen Times and the Aspen Daily News for giving us materials for our book, Growing Up Aspen, Adventures of the Unsupervised, which you can get at twistandturnpress.com and any local bookstore. Thanks.